Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host, Barbara Cochran, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're going to come back to the show in just a moment with Kim Wall, but we have a reported traffic accident at the corner of Wiley Canyon and Orchard Village. That's south, 2 lights south of the hospital. So just be aware, apparently there was a pole taken out. I'm not sure if it was a street light pole or a utility pole or a signal pole or whatever. But whatever it was, just be aware that intersection is going to be backed up in all directions for a while. And if you're listening to this show and you have any further reports, let us know and we'll try to get it on the air. So we're joined by Kim Wall, our homeopathic expert here in Santa Clarita. And, let's talk about some of the things that are going on. I know tonight, and maybe you can get into this for us, one of the big issues is memory loss and Alzheimer's. And, this show on PBS that will air tonight will talk about, what can we do? Can we prevent it? Are there things that we can do now? And, what are those things that, in what your field and what you do that might be preventative to help our seniors out?
Well, I mean, like I said, you're looking at a disease that when we were looking at, 1905, 1902, that era, there wasn't a disease of Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. So, and don't mind my sexy voice, but I had a little voice thing. So anyways, but what we're seeing, I think, today is since the revolution of modern technology, let's say, we've had so many chemicals and so many things put into our environment that we're seeing a higher toxicity in people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these things, if we look at how our brain works with electron impulses that send nerve impulses and thoughts, and the brain is fat, is how it's, 60%, 70% fat. So we look at how that functions. So if we have more toxicity in the brain or in the body in total, it's going to affect it. Mm-hmm. We see, and again, these are my experiences, and I talk with the passion I talk from because I've actually done the research behind this. Not what some company wants me to read, but I've actually read the history. I also believe that Alzheimer's has become such an issue, and dementia and some of these things, because of all the shots we give people. Mm-hmm. You can't be well unless you have a shot that makes you well, and yet these shots come with chemicals in them that are insane to think we're injecting it right into the bloodstream. We also have to look at things like our food isn't as mineral rich, which we've talked about many a times.
Oh, yes.
Look at things, again, these are things that people are going to get up on a fence about, but also looking about the metal that people that put in our mouths. We put mercury in our mouth. Mercury, we know, can affect the brain. To me, it's an odd concept, just like chemotherapy is an odd concept. If I am a technician and I'm putting this mercury, I'm a dentist putting this mercury in your mouth, I have to dispose of what I don't use in a biohazardous container. And yet I just put it in your mouth. I'm somebody that's going to give you chemotherapy, and I have to wear all this protection, and yet I'm putting this into your body. So we have to look at what's different from where 1900, let's just say as a decade, where we look now in the 21st century. We have a lot more things bombarding our seniors than we did back then. You never heard of that. You maybe had a this or a that, but you never saw facilities full of people that have lost, and even young people having memory
early
issues.
Age,
exactly.
40s and 50s.
Exactly. So I love the fact that, I believe anything can be maybe not completely reversed, but it can definitely be maintained and enhanced. So we want to look at the brain as the machine it is. Mm-hmm. Part of being healthy is also emotionally getting rid of all that thought trash in our brains.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me ask you.
And that's hard to do, though, these days with the media and how everything is.
We take medicines and be antidepressants and anti-anxiety and sleep. We take medicines to shut that brain off.
Well, now, I went through chemotherapy, and I was also told that it might affect my memory.
Chemo brain, yes, the toxins of it.
And that's what I was told I would have, is chemo brain.
And everyone's different.
That's true, but it really did affect my memory. And I it was hard for me to realize when I did really become aware of it. And I think, wait a minute, what's going on?
So in a case like that, or any human, we would look at what we would do just to make sure we're cleansing those things out. And
How do you do that? How do you do
well,
that?
the
Kim?
beauty with homeopathy is you can do that. And that's one of the things about King Bio that I'm so passionate about, and why I love educating people on that product and supporting that company. They've been in business. He's been a practitioner for over 40 years, but they've been in business for over 26. And he wanted to take the purest, naturalist, most powerful medicine and put it in the purest natural base, which was water. Not alcohol, not sugar pellets, not milk tablets, not glycerin, pure water. And that's what I love about it. But the beauty is this: with homeopathy, there are actually formulas he has created, one called Chemo Cleanse, that will specifically, when we deal with homeopathy, it's like cures like. So if you've had exposure to a chemotherapy agent, if I give you it in a homeopathic form, highly diluted and succussed, which King Bios are extra highly diluted because they actually have an LM1 potency, but when we give that, what actually happens is the body goes, oh, you're not supposed to be here. I need to get rid of you. So if something causes chemo brain, I can give you something homeopathically to clear it out. Will it clear it 100%? In my experiences, I've seen it sometimes 100%, but it all depends on the person and what's going on. But it does make a difference. And then something like the heavy metal formula, which anybody could benefit from, would also tell the body's innate, because our bodies are perfect. Hey, this metal, you don't want this metal. Don't let it back in. Continue to, allow that out. And then if somebody had a stress, we could do in fact, this was one of the things we talked about at the Whole Products Expo last time I was here. I was telling you we were going to that, and he was focusing on the water issues and the air issues and stuff like that, and talking about total body detox, blood, liver, kidney, whatever you need to support, and you can do that along with, let's say, one of the ones I got was for my daughter, actually. She works in Vegas. She's a massage therapist. So she has to work in a spa where they put whatever they want in the air, whatever they want to give her as a chemical to, lotions to put on, and that's a toxicity over time. So one of the ones I actually picked up for her, I haven't got it yet, is one for those chemicals. Something she can do because her skin breaks out and she has these. She's like, Mom, I don't understand. I'm like, you don't realize, these are lotions and chemicals you wouldn't use on yourself. But here at this spa, or this whatever, they're using air perfumes or purifiers in the air, or different chemicals on the carpet, or pesticides. You don't realize that. A restaurant or a hotel or anywhere you go, those are maintenance things. And a lot more people today, unfortunately, we've gotten away from creating healthy soil and stuff so we don't have weeds and bugs, to killing and maiming and destroying that. And so what are we seeing is we're actually seeing that toxicity affect our elders. In fact, I watched the most awesome show the other day about bees, and it was talking about colony collapse and what's happening to these bees. And let's just correlate this to our children and our seniors. What's happening to these bees? All of a sudden, these bees forget how to get home. They forget how to survive. They just die and disappear. Well, they went in and did the research on this and found that these bees, because they were eating the pollen off of genetically modified seeds. So they take a seed of corn or sunflower or soy and they cover it with a pesticide and put it in the ground. And then when it grows, that pesticide is within the cells of the plant. And they found these bees would pollen. They would take sunflowers that were non-GMO and ones that were. And when the bees would get on the non-GMO sunflowers, they were like little soldiers, knew exactly what to do, collected the pollen back and forth, very organized. When they got on the genetically modified sunflowers, they got confused. They were walking in circles. They got to the point where they were trying to brush the pollen off them, like they were confused, and some would fall off and die. So they all said it's this. Well, what the science showed is when the bee went home to the hive and he had this genetically modified pollen on him, and when they fed it to the baby bees, that next generation of bees were the bees that died. They were the colony collapse. And so what they were showing is these neurotoxins in these poisons. Yes, they affected you. Yes, they affect me because I eat it. can we imagine what it's doing to our children or a baby in utero or something like that?
But they've wondered this for years now, like a decade. They have talked about what's going on, what's going on.
And this movie was from 2009.
Yeah, so we're already behind, 8 years. But it's the canary in the mine shaft. We used to, the miners actually had canaries in a mine shaft because of the methane.
Right.
And if they died, that meant methane was around. So it's the same thing in our environment. Bees have told us something.
Yes.
Something is going on, and they finally, after a decade, figured out why bees have died.
But why do our children have, and when they say by 2020, it'll be 1 in 2 boys and 1 in 50 children or some crazy number will have autism. And look at our Alzheimer's rate and our dementia rate is through the roof. 2 of these diseases that did not exist maybe they did, but nowhere near the scale they do today 100 years ago. What's changed? I'll tell you what's changed. Again, I have passion behind what I say because I've studied it. The drug industry has sold us a bill of goods.
Absolutely.
And we need to unplug from that. And can we bring these? Yes, we can use things like phosphatidylserine to maintain that brain function. We can make sure that senior is getting good fat in their diet, good fat, olive oil, hemp oil, flaxseed oil, a lot of the seed oils. So they're getting good fats because the good fats will go in and help get rid of the bad fats that are stored in those cells. Trace minerals, things that allow those neurons to fire. Yes, your brain might be 100 years old, and you might not remember everything. But I got to tell you, I remember my grandma telling me stories. And my son one time, she told my son, "You still got that 71 Chevelle?" I remember going that thing. It was so fast. And my son says, "I don't even remember that, but yeah, I did take her." But she might not remember this or that. And it's all about quality, what we do, memory, reading, writing, games to help. It's a muscle, but we've got to feed the brain muscle. And
But
I hope
right now we're poisoning
we are.
the brain. We're poisoning our body.
Yes.
And people don't get it because they've been sold the goods to say, have this, take this, eat this, and
but
you'll be fine.
But the doctors have also been sold the goods. Because,
absolutely.
Because you've been told by companies this drug is really great, and yet when you look at the research paper that was written on that drug, it was written by the company that made the drug, and a lot of the doctors on there were said, "Hey, you want to be a part of this," but they didn't do any of the research, and then you read it and go, "Wow, look at this. This must be good."
I'm wise to that, Kim. I'm wise to that
the
stuff.
FDA approved to go onto the market are the same drugs that are killing people. The number one
overdosing. They're
or just properly prescribed.
They're gateway drugs, though. I mean, this is an unfortunate part about it that they haven't. And we've talked about this too many times on this show. And I think even at times our listeners are saying you don't need to talk about this anymore.
But you can take a show like this one tonight on PBS. And what I tell people is it's like a big open book. Pick through it and see what resonates with you. Are you eating good food? I don't know what the show's going to talk about, but there is things that like homeopathy. There's things like acupressure. There's things like therapy can help the brain and the body detoxify. Right. There's many different things.
Brain exercises and exercise in general. I mean, you don't have to pay for this stuff.
No. Think about it. Do people play board games anymore or card games anymore or anything like that? No.
Every day I play a card game.
See?
Every
and that
day.
is like going to the gym and doing your curls and doing your push-ups. Exactly.
I did this morning for a solid hour. Oh, my goodness. She worked me to death.
Exactly. But see, that's the thing. We lose the connection to our body. We quit moving. We quit feeding. We quit touching. We quit being a part of life, and that's, I think, where things decay. And the key is hopefully this generation is going to stand up and say no more GMOs, no more of this, because the GMOs have been around for 20 some odd years, people. The sad thing is it's just infiltrated everything you eat now, like canola oil. Anybody that eats canola oil, you need to go do the research and see what canola oil is. It's made from a plant. There's no canola plant. It's made from rapeseed. It's a poisonous bush. They actually have to chemically process it so it doesn't smell, because if they processed it straight, it smells so bad you can't eat it. So it's a pure inflammatory poison. Go to the store, and when you pick something up, look at what oil that product is made with. 90% of the time it's canola. I won't purchase it. And it really limits sometimes the things I can buy. But if you start thinking about every single thing you're consuming has an inflammatory oil in it, things like Alzheimer's have to do with inflammation. Arthritis, cancers, all these things they're looking at the base of all this disease is inflammation. So where can we start? We can start by what we stick in our mouth. We can start by what we stick in our brain. and thought processes. And when that doctor says something, say, you know what, doc, I've done a little research, or you know what, this or that, that doesn't resonate true with me. I'm going to do my own research. And you're going to go against status quo. They're going to have an issue with that and call you crazy and this and this and this because you're not going to.
We've heard it.
You're not going to get in line. But you know what? I don't have to get in line because I'm healthy.
Well, you mentioned canola oil. What other things? I'm a firm believer. I don't eat anything from a can. I refuse.
Well, because
if I don't know it, I don't want anything from a can because I think cans, the containers,
Yes.
the metal part of it, and the liners,
a glass jar
and
with something, you're way ahead of the game. And I don't
and
like
even
plastic.
sometimes plastic are
Don't
bad.
like- exactly.
You have to really look at it
because
carefully.
they're full of the PB chemicals, which are estrostimulants.
Yeah,
So there's
absolutely.
xenoestrogen. So they're going to go in and cause cells in your body, in a man, your prostate, in a woman, her breasts, mostly, or a female area. They're going to cause hyper stale stimulation in those areas. Well, if you're past childbearing years or something, you don't want to stimulate those cells to do things. And, we say, why is this so bad? Well, look at what we do. We put antiperspirants on to suppress our natural way of detoxifying our body through perspiration. We're always about clean and neat and this and that. And those are anti-this soap and disinfect that. But you used to put your hands in the dirt, and believe it or not, you actually got good bacterias and things from the dirt. And now our dirt is dead, so that doesn't exist anymore. But it's crazy to look at, even a baby being born vaginally and a baby being born a C-section. C-section babies have more respiratory issues because they didn't get the natural flora from the birth canal. There's a natural process to everything.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. So if somebody's looking at something like Alzheimer's or wanting to prevent it, I see mom has it and grandma had it, what can I do? Look at your risk factors, okay, that exists. Then do things just like an athlete would do to prepare for something. I'm going to make sure that I do things like phosphatidylserine or the good fats or the good things for my brain and really work on things that I know that can detoxify the brain or the whole body. Because this, it's kind of like your oil filter indicator, It starts to get cloudy and dark and this. But I was just talking to Jerry Ann before I walked in, and we were talking about water and how everybody's talking about water with the negative charges and stuff can really detoxify. She says one of the things I noticed was clarity. I said, because it's clean, and you're putting something in that's going through like a magnet, negative, positive, and it's binding to those things, and it's pulling those toxins out. It's like a free radical gulper, Pac-Man type thing. But all those things are relevant. So if you have somebody that's drinking a diet product all day long in coffee, what are they detoxifying? Are they adding to the poison, or are they detoxifying the cells? They're eating, processed foods and this and that. What are they putting in? Not to say all processed food is bad. You can pick through and find things. You can do simple things to, make your life be convenient.
Our seniors have told me, and I've noticed it myself. I thought, I'm getting older and things taste different. They're not different.
No, their
and
taste buds
I know that it's not different because when I take the natural ingredients and cook at home, I know that it tastes the same as it did 50 years ago, 20 years ago. But if I buy something that's been processed, I'm thinking to myself, boy, that candy bar, that chocolate doesn't taste right. That donut doesn't taste right. Everything has changed because it is now processed. It's got all these added ingredients that environmentally are probably destroying us and literally poisoning us.
And that's the crazy thing is because of our age, we actually know that tastes wrong. These kids today have no idea.
No
what
concept.
No.
It's interesting getting back to what you said a little while ago about eating dirt. I can remember when I was a little girl, I ate dirt. And my mother didn't say, stop.
It's really funny. There's a homeopathic remedy that's the modality. They want to eat dirt.
It's very interesting because...
And it's your body's bizarre way
then,
of you were craving minerals.
Yeah, back then...
there's a name for that, and it's for supposedly the iron that is in the dirt.
That's exactly right. And back then, in England, in the...
When it was tough.
In the 40s, we didn't use pesticides and
No,
things like that.
no.
Nobody knew
You could
what it
eat.
was.
You could eat dirt and
we
be
could
safe.
Exactly.
We grew our own vegetables.
And those
in our
vegetables
backyard.
didn't have the pesticides, the chemicals, and the toxic load we're seeing today in our food.
That's right. But I used to love to eat dirt. I loved it, and so did my brother.
So did my
I taught
brother.
him how.
My brother was a dirt eater.
And on that note, with dirt, we need to take a break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And Barb, we wanted to mention.
Before we finish talking with Kim Wall, we need to mention the accident.
There's a traffic accident at Wiley Canyon and Orchard Village that's being reported. So try to avoid that area. Apparently there's a power pole or a light pole or something that is out there. So that's going to be clogged up immensely. So just be aware. If it's cleared up and you know about it, give us a call. But right now we're letting everybody know that this could be a difficult area for you to get through. So change your driving habits right now if you're on the road.
Absolutely. And Kim, let's
Still
continue.
here.
Yes, let's continue.
Let's talk more about our poisoning.
Well, I think the thing is this, it all comes down to the power of the dollar. So when people go and say, we don't want this in our food and we don't want this in our thing, those things make a difference, and that's where we can work that way. Monsanto's is a company, DuPont, a lot of these big companies, they've been around forever. Bayer, believe it or not, even as a company, they've been around forever and been involved with things in our society that aren't always necessarily about making us well. So the key is to empower each person for themselves. Spend that, people go, gosh, it cost me this much more. Go to the farmer's market. Organic stuff now, when you look at organic, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not a genetically modified plant. So you need to understand, just like natural doesn't really necessarily mean anything. What organic is telling you is they did not use pesticides on that plant spraying it. Because the biggest thing with genetically modified food is we're seeing an over 400% increase in pesticides used on the plants, on the dirt, and on the food. And some of this stuff is sprayed within days of it going to market. So here you bring that food home and you think you're doing yourself something right by doing it, and you're bringing something home into your house that is a neurological poison. Again, why are we seeing some of the neurological issues we see in our society so rampant? Yeah, we live longer, but I don't buy that as an excuse. You look at other countries where there are people that live in their hundreds, 120s, and they don't have these things, but they're not also living in a toxic world. So, we are contaminated, again, my own personal belief, by the air, that things that are sprayed up in the sky, things that are in our food, things that are even in our waters. So we just want to make sure that when we're bringing something into our body, that it's at least as clean as it can be. I know it's silly. It took me the other day 2 hours to go through the store, as people zoom by me and threw stuff in their cart. I pick it up. I have a little person that I feed. I pick it up and I read the ingredients. Am I comfortable with this, and this? I'm comfortable with that. Am I comfortable with 75 ingredients? I'm not comfortable with that. And yeah, it limits some of the things I eat, but you know what? I spend more time making my own cookies or making my own this or that. So I know what the ingredients are. That's all. And not to say that there aren't bakeries and yogurt shops and places like that around the community, again, that are selling you good, high quality product. Like we found this ice cream truck, ICV ice cream truck. It's a little 40s ice cream truck in the valley. And let me tell you, I don't do dairy. His ice cream gave me no issues whatsoever. So ever how it was cooked and prepared like ice cream's supposed to be, with milk that's cooked where the enzymes are killed and it's done and made, it was delicious. So it's not that you can't go enjoy the world, but make sure that you're hydrating yourself with some good water, with trace minerals. Make sure you're eating as much as you can organic. And again, why? Because it's just going to cut down on the pesticide load that you're bringing in the body. But again, you can use things that are homeopathic. King Bio has some great products, and you have ones for pesticides. You have for toe body detox. They even have one for senior memory that helps with the memory of the brain. And again, with homeopathy, why it can state what it states on the labels, because those remedies have been proven for over 200 years that they actually will make a difference. And that's it, with no side effects, no toxicity, and no known interactions with pharmaceutical drugs. So you could take it with something else. And if it could give that person balance or maybe even a little bit of ground, That's awesome.
Kim Wall, thanks for being on our show today.
My
and
pleasure,
I think honeybees have told us something already.
Yes, we need to listen.
Like the canaries, and if we're not listening to that,
Yes.
we're going to be poisoned.
We will, and we
No-
need to get back to the
no-
realness of beehives as opposed to commercial
No
beehives.
doubt
And
about
don't eat
it.
any dirt now.
Please, unless
Not
you know
anymore.
that, unless you're somewhere, I don't even think you can eat dirt anywhere. Actually, never mind.
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate your being on
My
the show
pleasure,
today. We are
guys.
sponsored
Yes.
by Advanced Audiology and SCV in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.
Absolutely.